Hello and welcome back to another episode of A Method to the Madness, our Breaking Bad edition. I'm your host Mitchie and joining me is Patrick.
Hello.
And this week we're covering Season 2, Episode 11 of Breaking Bad, otherwise titled Mandala. This episode is pretty momentous actually. A lot of shit happens. Walt and Nat finally get to sell their meth and the kind of divide between Jesse and Walt starts, I guess, in this. Anyway, let's get into the plot. Patrick, please.
It's also the introduction of Gus Fring. It's pretty important.
True.
Yeah.
Gus Fring, yep, that's very important.
Yeah. All right, so Combo is selling drugs on a corner when he notices two rival dealers staring him down. He is then killed by a young boy working for them. Skinny Pete, spooked by Combo's death and Badger's recent brush with the law, decides to quit the drug trade. Walt and Jesse meet with Saul to discuss their next move. He tells them that they are incompetent distributors and need a businessman who is more restrained than Tuco and will buy their product in bulk. He offers to reach out to the only distributor of that kind he has heard of, but it will be difficult as the man is extremely cautious. Jesse is distraught that he got Combo killed, and that night he tells Jane to leave his apartment so that he does not harm her recovery when he smokes meth. Jane reluctantly decides to stay with him. The next day, Walt waits at a local chicken restaurant called Los Pollos Hermanos, where the distributor has arranged to meet them. Jesse comes in late, still high, and leaves quickly afterwards. Nobody talks to Walt, but he realizes later that the distributor saw him and has refused to work with him. Meanwhile, Jane relapses into drug addiction and introduces Jesse to heroin. The next day, Walt goes back to the same restaurant and waits until closing. He eventually realizes that the man he assumes is the restaurant manager is the distributor. Although the distributor maintains he's unwilling to work with a drug addict, Walt assures him that Jesse can be relied on and that their product is the best. The distributor tells Walt that he will be in touch if he decides to work with the duo, and warns Walt never to trust a drug addict.
Yeah, I mean, that covers a lot of the episode, actually, but
Yeah.
R.I.P. Combo.
That kid got a fucking Combo headshot. He shot him multiple times, so that's a combo.
He wasn't even... Yeah. That was unexpected, for the kid to shoot him. I when I watched that first, I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah, why did they need the kid to shoot him? Why didn't they just shoot him?
Just less sus, I don't know. Kid can't go to jail kind of thing, I don't know.
Yeah, but yeah, I suppose.
Or, bloody what do you call it when you introduce someone?
Hazing someone.
Hazing, yeah. Is that the word?
Yeah, but it's normally denotes like a very harmless kind of, like they make you drink beer or some shit, not fucking
No,
someone.
isn't there another word like to blood something them or something? Blood, I don't know. Anyway, that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it was unexpected. Yeah. I like the conversation between them and Saul though about the whole like ordeal. Like it's one step forward, two steps back. That's what Walt says, and it's kind of true. Like up to this point in time, they haven't really been making any serious money, and Saul offers them a solution. So yeah.
He's resourceful.
He is.
Yeah.
And I like how he says he's a little bit like you from what he sounds like.
Right, yeah.
When he's referring to Gus Fring over Walt, because like, I suppose they are kind of similar. They come from this like very domestic, normal lifestyle, although of different levels, of course. And they're on the side. They're doing this, well, not on the side, but a big part of their life is like a drug trade thing.
Yeah, man. Jesse and Skinny Pete's relationship.
Yeah.
This is interesting. Like, Jesse doesn't necessarily get mad at Skinny Pete for leaving, but I don't know. Their relationship is like kind of touching. It's in a weird way, and
yeah,
it's important.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
They kind of show that they are kind of friends in a way, like true friends before this.
Yeah.
They're not just dealing he's not just dealing for him. He actually kind of really does care about Jesse. And one of the most important bits to me in this episode is the fact that Jane breaks her vow to not do drugs. When she puts her hand on that doorknob to leave when Jesse says he's going to go smoke some meth, and then she decides not to and turns around. That is like seriously a momentous point in this series, like huge.
Yeah, man.
When you think about the implications it has further on.
Poor Jane.
Yeah, poor Jane.
Yeah. And like Jesse later on kind of laments how he blamed himself for killing Jane.
Yeah.
And then, like that counselor dude is like, well, yeah, but like, and then everyone tells him that it's not his fault, but it kind of, some accountability does lay on Jesse.
Yeah, it really does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like couldn't you just waited until she left and then did the meth without telling her? Like, it truly is kind of to some degree his fault. You're right.
What do you reckon of Gus Fring, his introduction?
Oh, bruh. Like, as a first-time viewer, it's pretty interesting, eh? Like, because, I know it's Gus Fring sitting there in the back corner, but when they first walk into the restaurant and he kind of just comes over and says, "Oh, is your order okay?" and then leaves. And obviously that's like Gus Fring scouting him out. But like, if you had no idea who he is, because you don't up to that point in time, it's actually pretty interesting, to think like would you have guessed it was him? Like, I don't know. I don't think I would have.
No, I didn't.
I can't remember what it was like.
It was really interesting too, because when he walks in, even before Gus Fring comes to his table and asks him that, when Walter walks in, he's like in the background, out of focus. He's just dealing with one of his employees.
Yeah.
And it's so inconspicuous, but you're like, that's the first shot of him in the series, and it's so cool how underplayed that moment is of like, man, this dude is like a huge figure in this show. Yeah.
Yeah, I do like it. It's hard to tell though how well they're doing that when you've already seen it so many times, and sometimes there's those little things, that you miss on a first viewing, and that applies to a lot of things. Yeah, that's all I got on that part.
Alrighty. Skylar helps the company celebrate her boss Ted's birthday, where she sings him a sultry version of Happy Birthday to You, reminiscent of Marilyn Monroe's Happy Birthday, Mr. President. She later finds, while investigating the accounts, that there are many inaccuracies in the payments to the company. Ted admits that he has evaded taxation on millions of dollars by underreporting revenue to keep the company afloat and support its employees. Skylar says she will not turn him in, but cannot be a part of his illegal doings. However, she later comes back to work.
Alright, I don't have much to say on Skylar, but can we just say how awkward that fucking singing was?
What, where she calls out Ted and then he's like trying
No, I'm talking about the Happy Birthday to You thing.
Oh, right, yeah. Yeah, that was awkward. Yeah,
right. Yeah, it's so fucking awkward. It's just like, what the fuck is going on? And like, I think, it's, I don't know, to me, that Happy Birthday, Mr. President isn't really kind of a well-known thing. And especially if you don't know what's going on until she says it, like Mr. President. So you just the whole time up until that point, you're like, what the fuck? Like, why is she singing like this? It's so fucking like, yeah, it just makes you cringe. But anyway, what I really like about this part, though, is the fact that Ted is avoiding paying all these taxes, which is like a significant crime. Like when she says people go to jail for that, they seriously do go to jail for that, especially when it's millions of dollars. It's like I think Eddie Murphy, didn't he go to jail for tax evasion?
Did he? Just some random fact, like.
wait, let me double check. Oh, Wesley Snipes.
Oh, Blade. I heard he's a cunt in real life.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I'm not going to say why I made that confusion, but I did. Yeah, but sorry. So just to go rewind, Wesley Snipes was convicted of tax evasion, and I can't remember if he went to jail or had to pay like a hefty fine or some shit, but like it is seriously a big deal. Like, and especially when it's millions of dollars from a company like that. And and this is principally like tax evasion is a principal reason why cracking down on drugs is such a big deal for the police and the DEA and stuff like that. Like, obviously you got the negative impacts of the drugs themselves in the community, and that, I'm sure that's a majority of the reason why that these people actually take these things seriously. But tax evasion is actually a big thing because the drug lords make so much money and none of that ends up going to be paid into taxes, right? And then you got all these like illicit transactions and stuff like that. That means that the IRS and the government don't get a single penny of it, and that's seriously also why it's such a big deal. So it's kind of funny how like Ted is actually doing that, and it's such a big part of drug dealing too. And like Skylar obviously is very kind of foreign about it. Like she really doesn't want to deal with it at all, and she's saying like making a huge deal out of it because it is, even though she doesn't know that Walt's a drug lord yet. But she kind of gets introduced to the world of breaking the law.
Yeah. It's also curious how both of her lovers are criminals.
Exactly. All right.
Walt gets a message telling him to come to the restaurant, where he learns that the distributor is not the restaurant manager, but the owner of several Los Pollos Hermanos' stores, Gus Fring. The actual manager, who appears oblivious to Gus's criminal activities, tells Walt that Gus is not currently at the store. Just as Walt is about to leave, an associate of Gus named Victor blocks him from exiting and tells him to deliver the meth to a truck stop within the next hour in exchange for $1.2 million cash. Walt rushes to Jesse's apartment and breaks in while Jesse and Jane are in a heroin-induced haze. At the same time, Skylar goes into labor and tries to contact Walt. Walt is tortured about his choice, but decides to go make the transaction anyway.
Yeah, man, this is like a...
So, yeah, what would you choose, Mitchie? If your kid was being born, or you had the option to go get $1 million, what would you choose?
Well, my standpoint at the moment in my life is pretty negative on raising children, having children, but so yeah, probably the $1 million in cash.
Yeah.
But that may all change. I don't have a kid, maybe when you have a kid, it's all beautiful and shit and your mind changes. But like $1.2 million in cash, man, like, Jesus.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money. That's like him working for like 30 years, 40 years. And that's right there in one night. He could get that.
And it's seriously like the best case scenario for Walt too. Like him and Jesse don't have to spend months, possibly years selling off the meth they have.
Yeah.
They just do it in one bulk transaction.
Yeah.
Get the money in cash.
You do it.
It's so good. 100% I'd do it, mate. I'd sell my kid for $1 million. No, I'm kidding. But
yeah, it's like, how much is a kid worth? But then you set that bar, right? Then you go even lower to how much is it watching your kid being born? And it's kind of like, yeah, fucking $1.2 million in cash, easy.
Yeah,
go straight for that.
I mean,
it's probably like a win-win situation, really.
I mean, if like my hypothetical wife is giving birth to my child, I'm pretty sure she would say the same thing. Like, don't fucking get the $1 million, you fucking dickhead. Like, yeah. I don't care if you're here to watch me push out this baby.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's true. But it is interesting, though, that it throws in that decision there. Walt has to make that decision. Like, it's all about, like, coincidence, really. Like, what are the chances that this transaction had to happen at the same hour that fucking Skylar decides to go into labor? Like,
exactly. Yeah, man. More to another fatalism little thing in the show.
Yeah.
Of, very, as you said, coincidences that lead to dilemmas.
Exactly.
Interesting dilemmas.
Yeah. Jesse and Jane, they start doing heroin, which to me, I've got this weird like ladder in my mind of where the different illicit drugs sit. And, down the bottom is like marijuana, like not too harmful. But to me, up the top there is heroin. I don't know why, but I've always perceived that as like the worst drug, like even worse than meth, because you hear about so many people that die on heroin because of the heroin itself, because it's so potent, it just shuts your body down and then you die, right? For them to do that, it's seriously a big step forward, like, because, Jesse's obviously not done it before because she's trying to show him how to do it, and it kind of shows a big descent into bad things. I can't think of a better word than that. But, like a descent in those two and their characters.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm with you on heroin. It's because it's just so addictive is the thing, like,
yeah,
as they say in Trainspotting, imagine the best orgasm you've ever had times 1,000 all over your entire body.
Yeah.
Hey, once you experience that, you'd never want to experience anything else, like just living your normal life would just be
pretty boring.
Would just suck. Yeah. I mean, don't ask me why, but I've looked into if people do heroin recreationally, because people do every other drug, well, not every, it's an exaggeration, but like most drugs people can do recreationally, like at a party or just once in a while, and it might be a struggle to not get addicted, but people do it. Heroin is the one drug that can't happen. People will get addicted if you try heroin. You can't do it every now and again,
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So like not even once.
I mean, maybe if you tried it once, you realized just the potential for how bad it could be in your life, you might not do it. But it's not the kind of thing where you're like, oh yeah, hey bro, I'm pretty bored. You want to come over to my place and shoot up some heroin? It's like, yeah, bro, let's do it. play some Xbox after, just have a chill night. No, it doesn't go like that. Yeah.
Yeah, even meth kind of like.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much what they do in the show, right? Like,
but yeah, not heroin.
Yeah, and dude, this scene when Jesse takes it for the first time is so good. How he floats in the air.
Yeah, it is really good.
I saw a behind the scenes thing of how they did that, and they had this like forklift that like it was thin enough for the Aaron Paul to lie down on, and they just like lifted him.
And then they just edited the bedroom back into it.
No. It was like it was all there.
What?
So
you're telling me it looked kind of like it was edited in though. I thought it wasn't practical. It didn't look practical.
No, dude.
Wait, so they really lifted him above that bedroom?
Yeah, dude. Because I've seen that, I was kind of looking out for this when I saw the scene, but the way he interacts with his pillow, how his head like comes off it, and his pillow, like, it reacts to like the weight coming off it. Like, it's all practical.
Fucking hell.
It's all actually done there, and they just like
Christopher Nolan would be proud.
He really would be, man. Like, it's I'll send you it after it, but it really is like impressive. Yeah.
I mean, now that I think about it doesn't seem that hard to execute, but still, it's kind of cool. Like, yeah,
it is. It's very cool. Yeah.
I got nothing.
Yeah, me neither.
All right, cool. Join us next time for episode 12.
Bye.
How much product do you have on hand?
38 pounds. Ready to go at a moment's notice. Will I hear from you?
I have your numbers. You can never trust a drug addict.
If you like this series, Mitch is going to tell you where you can find more of these.
Yep, so you can find us on Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitcher. And we've also got a website, amttm.com, where you can find our fabulous episodes on Breaking Bad.
If you have any questions, queries, insights, or criticism, you can send them to mail@amttm.com.
And as always, thank you for listening.